Now, before we get started, I would really love it if you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can get the latest content from the YouTube channel, The Last Rewind. And don't be shy about leaving your comments at the bottom of the page because you are the sole reason why this channel will be successful. Thank you. All right, welcome to The Last Rewind. And I am Big Red. And before we get into today's subject, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so you can get future episodes of The Last Rewind and hear about subject matters that we're about to talk about right now. And the first thing that's on the docket is the Dwayne Wade statute, or I don't know who in the world that person is supposed to be, but it does not appear to be Dwayne Wade. A lot of people, I don't think I've heard anyone say that statute looks like him, except the person who did the statute, who says he doesn't think anyone could have done a better job. I beg to differ. Could I have done a better job? Nah, probably not. Yeah, give me a handful of Play-Doh and I'm sure it probably looked just like that. Nothing like the person that you're trying to make it resemble. Dwayne Wade, let me throw up some footage right quick. Dwayne Wade, here he is during the unveiling. That sounds good that you can hear me. Here he is during the unveiling of the statute. I mean, it's a proud moment. It's something that anybody should be proud of to get a statue. Oh, there's a meme about him. It's the guy Duke from the Rocky series. There is Dwayne Wade in The Walking Dead, the statue. That's what he kind of looks like. Yeah, there's the classic alley-oop to LeBron with him in it. And here's what's kind of confusing, because Dwayne Wade even kind of addressed how the statue looks nothing like him. But if you see in this picture here, I don't know if I can blow that up. You see in this picture here, he looks like he approved of it. He had time to look at the statue and see it before it became fully finished. The face is the main thing that he needs to see. So he could have said yay or nay, and looks like he was okay with it. So I understand where the pose is supposed to come from. Let me get myself back up here and get this off the screen. I understand where the pose is supposed to come from. Hold up, let me get all right. I understand where the pose is supposed to come from. I think it was from one of those games. He hit a 3-pointer, I think, almost from half court to end the game. It was a game winner, and I think that's where it came from. It could have been that game that he had that monstrous fourth quarter versus the Celtics. I think that was the year before LeBron got there. I don't know. Y'all can tell me in the comments, but I do remember him saying, like, "This is my house. This is my house," and that's where I think the pose is supposed to come from. But let me see if I can pop this back up here right quick. Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me pop it back up here to people that don't want to see it. I'm sorry. Get his face up here. Yeah, his face kind of looks like, not like he's saying this is my house. It looks like he's in his house and he walked to his son's room and he walked barefoot on one of his Legos. And if anyone who ever stepped on a Lego barefoot, that's the kind of face you would make both of these pictures, because you would be in a lot of pain and anguish, and you probably say a lot of words that you can't say in front of a preacher or a pulpit. But my conversation is not really about the Dwayne Wade statue. I mean, that's part of it. He still, I guess, should be proud of it. It looks like he took it in stride. He made fun of it, made some jokes about it. But my conversation is this going to be a trend to something that's already a bad trend? People getting accolades. Too many people getting accolades. I'll say that. You know, the thing that makes something unique is when it's a rarity to it. And when something is rare, the price of it goes up. Let's just say diamonds or Jordans. If everybody had Jordans, even though it seems like everybody has Jordans, but that's not the case because everybody can afford Jordans. But if everyone had Jordans, it wouldn't be unique anymore. But everybody clamors for Jordans. And because everybody clamors for Jordans, they'll drive the price up. Nobody was wanting Jordans, those prices would come down. You would see them in the Walmart bin with the $5 movies for some reason. No one would want to get them, but since the demand is so high, they can drive them up to $200, $300, $400, sometimes $1,000 shoes. Diamonds, the same thing. If diamonds were like pennies, they would probably be worth the price of pennies. And with statutes, if everybody gets a statute, what's so unique about it? I think I could be wrong. I think Michael Jordan was the first one to have a statute in '94. I think George Mikan, I think he had one in like 2001, and then so on after that, everybody was getting a statute afterward. But it seems like such a unique thing. Now, I'm not saying all these players, I can go down the list, that have a statute don't deserve it. But I feel like it's going to go down a bad path to where anyone's going to get a statute. You know, we've already starting to see it with, I think, jerseys retired. One thing I hate, the trend I really hate now, and this is, a new generational thing, is where you see players swap jerseys. Now, if you're swapping jerseys with somebody who's getting ready to retire, let's just say LeBron, is going on a retirement tour, and you're like, man, can I have your jersey? He gives you the jersey, maybe he signs or whatever, it's worth a lot. Once he gives it to you, that's one thing. But swapping a jersey during the playoffs, you're not retiring, you're just exchanging jerseys. There's nothing special about that. I mean, just go buy the man's jersey if you want to, off of, NBA.com or even eBay or something. At least that one will be clean. You won't have the sweat off the person that just played the game, unless that's what you want. And if you want that, then I have questions that I will not delve into right now. But this jersey swap thing, it seems like, and I think NFL players are kind of doing it too, but it seemed to be a thing to where at first I saw players that appeared to be getting ready to retire. And it's like, hey, this may be your last game I see you play. Can I have your jersey? Now I see it. I've seen it on regular season games. Playoffs, it's another thing, but it's like the playoff game meant nothing. They just lost and they swapped jerseys. And I've seen retired player jerseys that it just cheapens the accolade of getting a jersey retired. And one, I think Udonis Haslem, did he already? Let me make sure I got that right. Did Udonis Haslem get his jersey retired, or he is about to get his jersey retired? Let me make sure before I go on and say something I'm not supposed to say. But okay, let's see. Udonis Haslem, yes, he got his jersey retired January 19th of 2024 for the Miami Heat. Now, to me, you're cheaping it. I understand he played a long career in Miami, and kudos to him because he was never an all-star. But, I guess he was part of the Heat culture, and that was a big deal to have him on the bench, to have him as support for the coach or the players or whatnot. But to have your jersey retired, that used to really mean something. You had to be a unique player that was probably a top 2 player, maybe even a top 3 player on the team to get your jersey retired. Now, it's just anybody can get it now. And the NBA seems very light when it comes to that. I can go all the way to the NBA Hall of Fame. Anybody can get in the Hall of Fame. You don't have to do much. You maybe go to an All-Star game 5 times in your career, and you can get into the Hall of Fame. It doesn't take much. The NFL, way harder to be at least a first ballot Hall of Fame. It doesn't take much in the NBA. And I can kind of remember, and I'm sure there's other players, but I can first remember where I said they're kind of cheapening retiring players' jerseys probably was the Boston Celtics. Ray Allen, and I can even say Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett's time in Boston was very short. His contribution to the team was very short. after the championship years. When he started declining a little bit, he didn't have a long of a prime. I mean, he pretty much was kind of out of his prime once he got to Boston. But I mean, he was the defensive anchor that helped get them that lone championship they had, 2008, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if I would have retired his jersey though. Like Kevin McHale, I get. Bill Russell, I get. They played most of their careers there. That's a big part of, I think, retiring a person's jersey. Won multiple championships. Larry Bird, John Havlicek, I mean, the Bob Cousy, they were part of Boston lore. So I can get retiring their jerseys. But someone who was like a rental, I don't see having their jersey retired. And Ray Allen, even more so, they want to retire his jersey. He was there for what? I think 3 years, and maybe 3-4 years. And then he went off to the enemy of the Boston Celtics, the Miami Heat. And yeah, you can say, well, he was traded or he wasn't re-signed or they didn't want him. Fine. But that still doesn't negate the fact that I don't believe he deserved to have his jersey retired. You got to put in some work to get that. And that's where I think it started to cheapen doing these certain things. I see them probably one day giving Kevin Garnett a statue. It may take some years, but I think ever since Jordan got one and Mikan got one and Nowitzki got one, Shaq got one, and Lakers just got so many legends, man. They're going to be using a whole lot of bronze to make the future players, that leads me to the next question. Should LeBron get a statue in the 3 places he's played in? We got Cleveland, Miami, and LA. Cleveland, that's a no-brainer to me because he played a big chunk of his career. He's from Cleveland, the chosen one. I get that. He brought a championship. He did something that no one in Cleveland, no one in the Cleveland Cavaliers has ever done. Won a championship. Kudos to him. Came back from a 3-1 deficit, beat the Warriors. So I get that. He's a homer. I get that. Miami, he was there for what? 4 years, I think. Brought them 2 championships. I don't see that. Jersey retired. Kind of. I can see that. And he's, to me, he is one of the greatest players of all time. Not the greatest in my opinion, but he is one of the greatest players. So I can see Miami giving him a jersey retirement. Actually, and I know somebody's probably thinking about this right now, and it is kind of odd. We'll say this. Michael Jordan's jersey is retired with the Miami Heat. That is odd. And so maybe that's kind of where it was cheapened a little bit. I mean, to me, he's the greatest player of all time, and it was done out of a form of respect. If it had been done in the way that Bill Russell's number 6 was retired across the league, that's one thing. But Miami Heat, he never had a career in Miami. He just destroyed them in the playoffs every time he played against them. I think Pat Riley did it because he really respected Michael Jordan, which is great and all. I mean, give him a seat in the ring. I don't know. Give him something. Give him a rocking chair. Give him a cigar. Give him a Ferrari or something like that to drive around to show your appreciation. But to get the enemies jersey retired in there, just to me, it kind of cheapens. That's like, I don't know, the United States retiring Putin's suit in the White House or something. That just doesn't make any sense to me. He's one of the fiercest, maybe not one of them. He's a fierce enemy. Kim Jong-un, that'd be like them retiring his hairstyle and suit in the White House or whatever, because he's a fierce opponent. Or Fidel Castro's hat in the White House because he gave us hell back, in the 50s, 60s, and whatever else decade. That doesn't make any sense. And then again, it cheapens the ceremony of retiring one's jersey, giving someone a statue. LeBron, we said Miami. I don't think he deserves a statue because he wasn't there long enough. I don't think he contributed to the culture long enough, like Dwayne Wade. So I would say no on that. LA, well, his career is not over yet. But if he were to retire, let's say this year or next year, with no more championships on his resume, right now he's stuck on 4. He gave 1 bubble championship to the Lakers. Based on that, no. He broke a record that was not done because of the bulk of his career or the second half of his career in LA. If that's the reason why they won't give him a statue, I don't think that's worthy. I don't think he really deserves to have his jersey retired, but I know they're going to do it. I already know they're going to do it. I mean, you see everything they've done in LA just to get his son to play on the team. So I know they're going to go ahead and retire his jersey. They're going to put him up amongst the greats with Worthy and Magic and Kareem and Mike and Wilt. Fine. Maybe by the time he retires, he will put in, enough years to where I will agree with that. If he puts in 7 years, maybe I'll say, okay. And maybe win another championship. Maybe I'll say, okay, maybe he deserves to have his jersey retired. Not right now. He hasn't done enough to deserve that honor in LA. And I have a feeling he's probably going to get a statue. And I already know what people are going to say. This has nothing to do with the GOAT debate, but I know people are going to use it and say, hey, look, he has a jersey, a statue, and 3 different teams. Jordan ain't got that. Jordan didn't have a statue retired with Washington, probably because he wasn't there long enough and he didn't do anything to contribute to the culture. Still was a good player, but no, he doesn't deserve a jersey retired there or a statue. And I don't think he deserved one in Miami, a statue that is. I'm not so sure he deserves a jersey retired, because if you're a rental, let's just put it that way. If you're a rental to a team, I don't think you deserve it. That's why I think Ray Allen is. I thought he was a rental. That's why I kind of think Kevin Garnett is. I thought he was like a rental, ran his course. Paul Pierce, he birthed his career there and spent majority of his career there. He deserved his jersey to be retired. Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, LeBron spent a big majority of his career in Cleveland. He was birthed there pretty much. He left, but he came back, fulfilled his promise, brought a championship there, and of course, other things he did in Cleveland, with the community and stuff like that, and in his, his school that he has there as well. I get that. But I fear that they're going to end up giving 6 men and bench players eventually statues. Udonis Haslem may eventually get a statue. If he's getting a jersey retired, what's to stop that? But that's just my opinion on it. If there's any other players y'all guys can think of that do not deserve a statue or do deserve one and haven't got their just due yet, let me know in the comments. That's the end of the video that I'm going to talk about this. Make sure and hit the like button and subscribe. And I will see you on the next episode of The Last Rewind. Peace.